been marketing online for a long time, and I'm a latecomer to this game. I'm way older than you guys. I wish this stuff was around when I was, I don't think I ever had a computer till I was 30 years old. I would do this with any product, make it as different as possible from everybody else, especially in a crowded space, because I think that's your way out. So one time we ran into like a supply chain issue with, I was in South Florida. My garage was like a sweatshop in there. My yard was fenced, but then I'd have like all these 5-gallon buckets like up and down the drive or like in the side of my house.
Yeah.
I'd see these people looking at me because I'd be out there getting like a 5-gallon bucket and I've got like funnels and stuff. I'm like, they probably think I'm running a meth lab over here.
Yeah, for sure.
it looked weird. One of the first like big successes I had was this product.
In this episode, I talked to Adam St. George. Now, Adam started his own brand. He launched it on Amazon. He scaled it, and then he eventually exited for multiple millions of dollars. So sit back, relax, enjoy the episode, and let's hear what Adam has to say. All right, Adam, welcome to the show. We have Adam St. George here who has achieved something that many of us aspire to do by creating a brand and selling it for multiple millions of dollars. So Adam, I appreciate your time and joining, and I would love to hear your story. So first off, tell us a little bit about your brand, about your story, and ultimately, what you did with the exit.
Sure. Thanks, Michael. Glad to be here. So my brand originally that I launched on Amazon is named Angry Orange. It was a pet odor eliminator. I had that brand for, I want to say, about 4 years. And then I started thinking about selling, and I listed it with Empire Flippers. I looked at a couple different brokers, ended up going with them. So it was interesting because when they came up with the pricing and everything, and it takes a few weeks when you go through a process like that. It's almost like a mini version of due diligence because they're really trying to get their number right. And a lot of sellers come in there, me included. Your records are good, but you're kind of a one-man show. So they're like, hey, you need to show this, show this, show this, and you're just everybody's just getting all their data, So you do that, and it helps you though. It helps you down the road, sets you up for due diligence down the road when you do have a buyer. But so they got it listed, and they're like, oh yeah, yours is kind of big because at the time there wasn't as many sales going on, and they're like, oh yeah, it'll probably take 4 months, or something, maybe a little longer. And my ex-wife and I were on the way to Ohio and from Florida where we live. And we had an Airbnb up there. So by the time I got there, the listing had just went live on the marketplace. The whole time I'm there, I'm just entertaining Zoom calls, like boom, boom, one after another after another. So the whole week I'm like supposed to be up there visiting family. I'm just like in this makeshift basement office.
Yeah.
Taking calls though, but it was exciting because you're talking to everybody. You're talking to private equity firms. You're talking to other just Amazon sellers just looking to expand their portfolios. Everybody's pre-vetted when they come to a broker. So they usually have to have a deposit on hand. You're talking to some pretty interesting people. People got money, family offices, stuff like that. So it was an interesting process. And then I just went through, and then Thrash had come along about midweek, Tuesday or Wednesday, I think, of the week. And I talked to Josh and Carlos, who are the founders of that. And back then, Thrash was 10 people, 12 people maybe. Mm-hmm. And then, we all know they went on to become, $1 billion outfit. But so Josh and Carlos, kind of went back and forth with me, and they knew this thing was getting a lot of action. So by Friday, they had a term sheet written up, and had a couple other people that were like really close. They just didn't move fast enough. And then Thrash came in with a number, and, it was like full price. Plus they had some earn out stuff in there that it was kind of a no brainer for me. They made it pretty nice. So I went with it. And so I had a term sheet signed by that Friday. I'm just like looking at my wife going, at that time, I'm like, man, wow, this is crazy.
That's incredible. Yeah. For people who are watching this and don't know, Thrasio is one of the biggest Amazon aggregators, right? So they're buying Amazon companies specifically and putting them in their portfolio. And through the early 2020, 21, 22, they turned into a unicorn. I think they were worth $2 billion at one point.
Yeah, when they crossed $1 billion in kind of valuation right around there, 21 or whatever that was. So Forbes did a whole big article on them in Forbes magazine, and they actually interviewed me. I'm in the article, which was kind of cool too. So it was called I think the name of the article was called "Making millions from Bezos billions. The whole premise of the thing, and it's got Josh and Carlos in there. But yeah, then at the beginning, I'm like the first whole paragraph. They're just talking about my business and Angry Orange because at the time I would think I was the fourth or fifth business that they bought. So they
Yeah.
were just getting started, had just done their second round of funding. I mean, they were probably like 10, 20 million in funding at that point. So they were still, relatively small in that space.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, like, why Amazon? Why do you focus on Amazon? Is Amazon still, a good business to get into?
Yeah.
And I say, like to your point, making millions from Bezos's billions, like you want to ride the wave. Like
Oh,
Amazon
yeah.
is not going anywhere. They're growing. They're still gaining market share. Like it's an incredible business opportunity. So, with that, why did you initially choose to like get on Amazon? Why'd you choose your niche with Angry Orange in the pet odor eliminator space?
So, it's just like anybody. I've been marketing online for a long time, and I'm a late comer to this game. I'm way older than you guys. I wish this stuff was around when I was, I don't think I ever had a computer till I was 30 years old, like
Uh-huh.
literally. So, but it just didn't exist. You got to remember, I turned 30 in whatever, I don't know, 1999, 2000, somewhere around,
Yeah.
I mean, so it was like not much going on, and the opportunity really wasn't there. But I went on, I sold stuff like on eBay, and I just even sometimes just on the side. I did cars, I did a bunch of stuff like that, and then I kind of got into the IM world, and I ended up doing a lot of online marketing and what they call CPA marketing, which you
Hmm.
probably know what I mean. So you're basically like an affiliate marketer, but it's CPA offers. And I
Yep.
did email traffic for years doing that, and I'd look and I'd see like these offers blow up. I'm like, man, I got to launch my own product. I'm making this guy like rich, right?
Yeah.
So Amazon started kind of coming along where I shouldn't say Amazon came along, but like you started seeing people like kind of teach the model a little bit. And
Hmm.
that's where I just kind of caught it from there, just being in the IM world, the internet marketing world. And I took a course. I think I took the original one from Amazing or one of their
Yeah.
first. And back then it was called Amazing Selling Machine. It wasn't even Amazing.
Uh-huh.
Just got in that, just got in the group and then just started selling stuff. And I didn't start out in the pet industry. I actually started with supplements. I had like some good supplements. I think I had a couple other things that I did as well. But I had this is kind of a side story, but it's funny. It'll make sense. So one of the first like big successes I had was this product. I don't. It's not out there anymore. It was a colon cleanse supplement
Uh-huh.
called the Amazing Miracle Cleanse. And oh my God, it was like, I was like midway on the first page for colon cleanse. And I'm just lighting it up with this product, and I'm doing really well. I think my sales were about 60,000 a month at the time.
Wow.
Huge margin. I'm paying like 250 a bottle. It was selling for 29.95. That was early on, so like your PPC costs and stuff were a lot cheaper, and you didn't have to drive as much to rank, a whole different thing, and then you could do some outside stuff. What happened was, this is why I got to do your homework a little bit, like you teach on trademarks and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So unbeknownst to me, and a lot of other sellers on Amazon, a company out of California actually owns the trademark colon cleanse.
Wow.
And anybody that had anything mentioned to do with colon cleanses got swept right off there. So all these listings got suppressed, and damn, here goes like
Yeah.
my income stream there, and so I went ahead, readjusted my label and stuff, and then once I put it back on, I don't know if they blackball you a little bit or something. It would do okay, but it just never really ranked again like real
Uh-huh.
high. So, but I was still making sales, ran with it, and then I had a few other supplements that were nothing great, but they were making money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then it's just like anything else. There was a guy in our group, and I'll throw it. I don't know if they'll like it, but that was Rocco and Roxy, which was still one of the big pet odor eliminators on Amazon to
Uh-huh.
this day. And I remember like they were doing like 100,000 a month, and I was just like, wow, and everybody says this is crazy. And my wife's cousin, this guy, he lived right around the corner from us in Lauderdale at the time, or he had a place there. So he had a ranch in Arizona and a place in Lauderdale by me. He'd come over and we'd hang out in the back, had like outside on the water, had this pool and stuff, and he'd bring his boat around from his place and hang out. And we're just over there. I think it was like a holiday or something. Might have been cooking out and just drinking beers and stuff. and he's talking about his product lines. He's in the commercial odor
Mm.
business, so mainly deals with like paving companies, oil refineries, all kind of stuff. And he's like, and they also had a horse farm, Arabian horses. So he goes, "Hey, I got this product we developed. It was meant for farmers and stuff, but it just never went anywhere. A couple people tried to, uh, you know, do it commercial, like or retail wise and stuff." And he's telling me about it, and he goes, "These guys come over." He goes, "I keep a barrel of it in my barn all the time." And he goes, he's out in Arizona, at Scottsdale all the time. He goes, "Hey, those pooper scooper guys that do clean up the yards?" I go, "Yeah, I know what you're talking." He goes, "Man, they swear by this stuff." I said, "Well, I do know pet odor is like kind of a big business." Long story short, he sends me a couple gallons of it. I'm messing around with it in my garage because it's not like your typical private label. You just have to, and it's real strong. I sold it in a concentrate. I think they still do, but one thing led to another. I ended up bottling, figuring out how to bottle this stuff. It was almost like I had a little factory in my garage going, and I just started sending it into Amazon like that. And then, I just slowly got the sales going on it.
Yeah.
So it took me, I'm gonna say, from like September to around May. It was like, I remember it was like 6 months, 7 months, and I had it up to about 1,000 units a month. It's doing like
Wow.
20,000 a month, and so it's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I was doing PPC and I was getting ranked, and then I just built it from there. But I built it out. The biggest issue that I was running into is like I didn't really have anywhere to go and get it bottled, so I had to keep doing it myself. And I'm looking around for packaging companies because I'm like ordering labels from one place, bottles from another place, and it's a very acidic product because it's made from orange peel oil. Is like
Uh-huh.
one of the ways. So to even seal that stuff, there's only a couple of caps that'll work with these type of bottles, and so you have to have like induction sealers, like that. So there's like a whole process to it. And I just figured all this stuff out and through trial and error. And then as we expanded, I was able to get a bottler, like a small one in Ohio, kind of right by where I live, to start doing some for me once I got it up to over 1,000 bottles or maybe 2,000 bottles. And then I finally found a commercial bottler that would take it on smaller runs. So what happens when you're running into like if you're trying to do something like this, that's why
Hmm.
I'm pretty open about this because if somebody wanted to knock me off, I'm like I could send them the product. They're probably not going to go through all this stuff,
Yeah.
like a lot of people, and unless they're really been in the game for a little bit. But most of these guys will want what they call a 10,000 minimum run or
Yeah.
like a large run, and you probably maybe even run into this stuff in the
Hmm.
past. So, and it just wasn't in the cards yet. I'm like, I don't need 6 months worth of stuff. So I found these guys that were just starting out in Toledo. They were like, if you do a couple thousand a month, you can guarantee that we'll take it on for you and help you grow. So they stuck with me, and they still have the contract to this day with it.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
so that when I
that's
sold out, I was doing 12,000 units a month.
wow.
So I went from like bottling it in my garage, and it would take me, 60 hours a week by the time I do all the bottling, ship it, do all the marketing. I'm just kind of a one man band. My wife's helping me with a little bit of stuff. By the time I sold it, I was able to I would just call, order 275-gallon totes, have it shipped to Toledo from Chicago. Never saw the stuff. They break it down into the bottles, label it, boom, pallets back to Amazon. And that was it. And I had it down to where I could have that whole process done inside like 2 to 3 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And it was nice because everything was 30-day net, and they would take Amex, so I could actually spread that. I could actually ship it, and then my supplier and my bottler were both 30-day net, and I had pay with Amex, and then give myself another 30 days.
Yeah. So it's like a
So I could
60 day.
really just have like that 60-day spread there, and I could
Yeah.
literally almost have that stuff sold. I had it dialed in, but like it was already
Uh-huh.
paid for before I even had to pay for it. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a lot of times it's easy to get like overwhelmed and stuff, right? But what I heard from you was just like one step at a time and like
Yeah.
where do I get the labels? All right, let me solve that. Where do I get the bottles? Where do I get the specialty capsules and stuff, and like just figuring it out one step at a time. And like you didn't
Yep.
start out with any experience or knowledge on how to do that, did you? You just
No,
figured it
no
out.
way.
Yeah.
No, I was literally like my garage. Yeah, remember I was in South Florida. My garage was like a sweatshop in there. And it was funny as I got bigger. I have like think he was shipping it in like 5 gallon buckets because I didn't really have like a drum. And we're in this like really nice residential neighborhood. It's called Lighthouse Point. It's
Uh
on the
huh.
water. It's kind of affluent. My yard was fenced, but then I'd have like all these 5 gallon buckets like up and down the drive or like in the side of my house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I go outside, you can see right across the canals because it's all a canal system down here. Not so your neighbor's backyard's like right across the water. I'd see these people looking at me because I'd be out there getting like a 5 gallon bucket and I've got like funnels and stuff. I'm like, they probably think I'm running a meth lab over here or
Yeah,
something.
for sure.
It looked weird. And I'd be back
Yeah.
in my garage, like bottling stuff up. But
Yeah.
it was kind of fun. It was a process. It was a great learning experience. I mean,
Hmm.
you can't beat it. And that's the thing, like anybody else listening to this, that's all it really is, just one step at a time.
Yep.
Especially you get into something like that. There's easier products sometimes where you're not going to ever have to be that hands on. You know what I mean? Like you find a manufacturer, you might have to outsource a little bit of this or that, but you're not going to be in that situation. But you're tweaking your labels. I like how you talk a lot about your images and stuff like that because
Hmm.
people will let down their guard there. And I remember a while back you gave an example how just changing your image, one little thing can bump your conversion.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I on one of my products, that example was like I had just the packaging on the main image, then I added the product around it. It's sweet potato treats. So I sell dog or in the pet space too. And just
Yeah.
adding those sweet potato treats around it, it filled the image out more. It
Yeah.
increased my click-through rate and increased my conversion rate just because it kind of stood out from everybody else. And they
Yeah.
could see exactly what they were getting on, like before they even clicked into the listing.
So that was on your hero. They were cool with that on
Yeah.
your hero image.
Yeah. That was my
Now,
hero image.
you make a good point there, and I think like when I started the like Angry Orange, my initial thought was like, okay, and when you're looking through everybody else on there at the time, hey, let me like pre-mix this with and like the water already blended, da 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 da, and put in a whatever 24-ounce bottle, spray bottle, and it'll look like everything else.
Hmm.
We didn't do that. We kept it down to like a commercial grade uh, and sold it in an 8-ounce bottle and let them mix it themselves like a DIY product. And I think that's one of the things like, and I would do this with any product, differentiate, like right there, you said, differentiate, your product, make it as different as possible from everybody else, especially in a crowded space. I think that's your way out, especially, if you go into a crowded space. So many times people I think are just like want to look at a software like a Helium 10 or Jungle Scout
Yeah.
and look for this little hole in the market that somebody's probably going to knock you off anyhow if you just come in as a Me Too product. So the better that you can, look different, be like a blue ocean.
Uh-huh. It's
You're going to
funny. So,
be.
but before this, I was looking at like the pet odor eliminator space, and like Angry Orange is still by far the number one seller. But if you look at the main images, you'll notice something different with Angry Orange. Everybody else, all of the competitors, their nozzles are facing to the left. And Angry Orange is the only main image where the spray nozzle is facing to the right. So it's like a super subtle difference, but it catches people's attention.
I never noticed that. That's fun.
Yeah.
To look at that.
And like split testing, like minuscule stuff like that is what I nerd out on, and it makes a huge difference.
Huge
Right.
difference.
But your branding and your name is something I wanted to talk about because a lot of people get stuck on that.
Yeah.
And the Angry Orange, I know it's like changed a little since you've sold, but the
Yeah.
base concept is there with that super bright orange and the name's really unique. So how did you like come about all of that?
It was really just we were sitting around, my wife and I, and I knew I was going to bring it online, and I'm like thinking about names, and we're like like just spitballing stuff around, and
Uh-huh.
then we just kind of like back then it was the Angry Orchard beverage. They
Yeah.
were just showing the commercial like crazy back then. It was like kind of red hot. And I'm like, what about Angry Orange? Angry Orange? Did a trade. It was just like something like that. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
catchy. And then the original label, like my original labels, even all the way to I sold it to Thrash, were not that great, but the conversion was good. So if you look at my old labels, yeah, they were like kind of ugly. And the orange was just like a piece of clip art from like Uline or where I did all my labels on Uprint back
Yeah.
then. And then finally another printer took them over when I subbed it out to the guys in Toledo, the packaging company. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, you just look for ideas, and sometimes
Uh-huh.
there's something hot. Uh, and it's funny you said that because as I potentially do a relaunch, we're just like looking at new names and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, it's funny because I look back at some of my first like packaging designs and stuff, and I'm embarrassed of them now. Like
oh
they've
yeah,
changed over the years, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I ever launched that to
yeah,
begin with, and I can't believe it was ever successful. So it's like a reminder, like it doesn't have to be perfect the
nah.
first time,
You
right?
can always
Yeah,
change your labels.
right.
You can always go in and change those, and it's probably they're a little. It's a little, I think, easier now to change stuff around. So there was a probably like a year that I remember a while back that Amazon was like weird about when changing your images and stuff all the time. But
Hmm.
now with like uh what do they call it, with the brand once your brand registered, what they call the expanded listings, because they didn't have all that.
Yeah, like A plus content and
Yeah.
yeah.
And so now like they're more open to that too because they know like seller I just think they know sellers are just trying to improve the
Hmm.
conversion and performance. So it works for their benefit too.
Yeah.
Uh, but they were weird, like, because I remember they would get in there and change your images around without like Amazon,
Uh-huh.
like, they did this weird one time, like to give it perspective of how big the bottle was, and it was like this hand drawn hand. The bottle was so horrible, and I'm like, and then I couldn't get rid of it, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
my conversion was really high on that product with the ugly images, so it was still around
Yeah.
30, like 30%, and
Well, that's so funny because when I got started, I kind of cut my teeth on and like found my first big success growing a supplement brand from
yeah,
about 2 million a year to 28 million a year. It took me about 2 years to do that, but all of the competition had those images where like the supplement bottle was in their hand trying to
yeah, just
show
like
the
a white
size.
hand. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like a
and
weird white hand. I don't know what Amazon must have just went around and did it to like
yeah.
everybody. And they're like, yeah, we're not moving them either. Where you're like,
it
all right,
it made zero sense to me, and I went in and optimized the brand's images that I was working on, and they were like, we didn't have that weird size image, and conversion rates just like skyrocketed from that.
oh,
So
sorry, I bet.
yeah, I never understood why that was an image in anybody's stack in supplements, but that's funny.
Yeah, they did it to AO too. They did it to my.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember them doing it to any of my supplements, but once Angry Orange like took off and I really had it running, I let everything else go and I just focused on that. And I added a couple more products, like I had an enzyme remover. Back when I had an aerosol and I had a candle too. Like so, I had an odor eliminating candle too. And Thrash, they didn't continue with that, but they've added some other stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
I didn't have
So,
a spray at all.
oh, really? It was just the
No,
concentrate?
I had, well, yeah. So they have an orange spray actually made from that product, and then I think they have a separate like an enzyme spray. You
Hmm.
can't. I try to work on doing like an enzyme with the orange, but it doesn't work with the enzymes for whatever reason. You just can't mix the two.
Yeah.
So I had like a separate company doing that, which it was pretty good. I mean, I did probably 20,000 a month with just my enzyme product without really trying. It was just like
Yeah.
a yeah. So it wasn't too bad, you know what I mean. But like the my main one was still just a straight 8 ounce bottle concentrate. That was the one.
Uh-huh. Was there ever a time where faced something difficult, like your listing went down or something, you thought
Oh,
about giving up?
dude. Yeah,
That
yeah.
deep breath, I feel you there.
Yeah, suppressed listing when you're doing, 70,000 a week in sales,
Yeah.
to drive you nuts. And then one time we ran into like a supply chain issue with with our base product. So like my manufacturer was having a tough time for whatever reason getting the raw one of the probably because we use like a real high grade cold press orange oil is the
Uh-huh.
base. There's other junkier ones, but they use like a really good one. They couldn't get it or something. So yeah, that was costing a lot of money. And then you're just sitting there going, oh man. But yeah, the suppressed listings, I was just like, and they just do it for like whatever reason. And I remember one time, so no, not once, twice, uh, Prime Week. They suppressed me 2 years in a row, Prime Week.
Wow.
And I'm like, and I was set up for both years, lightning deals during Prime Week
Uh-huh.
and or Prime Day. And so like on an average, I don't You get invited to those, like the lightning deals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like on an average day for me, because we would do a lightning deal. I want to say by the time I sold, we were getting them like once a month,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd knock it down 25%. So at the time I was selling it for 1997, so it'd be whatever, we'll just say $15, and I would still do like over 10,000, 12,000 in volume on like that one day, or just that little window really.
Uh-huh.
And I think we were averaging around, anywhere from like 6 to 8,000 a day in normal sales. But then you get it on like some days, during like Black Friday times or Prime Day times and stuff. We'd be doing like 22, 24,000 for the day with just that one product. And then every once in a while, like a lightning deal, we'd take off and get close to 20,000 for the day.
Yeah.
So,
One of my I so I think my first Prime Day on one of my like hero products, I did 250K, and
geez.
like it's not like I was great. That was my first Prime Day. A lot of luck played into that. This was 7-8 years ago. But so the second one, I was like stocked to the max. I was ready to hit it, do like 500K or something on Prime
Yeah.
Day, and I clicked this button. I have no idea why I did this, but I canceled the deal like the night before. And
Geez.
so I'm on the phone all night, all day, and Amazon is just like, there's nothing we can do. So that was a big lesson. Don't click the cancel button the night
Oh yeah, that
before.
had to hurt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I still did like 80, 100K, but I was stocked up on inventory to do 500K. So that one
Right.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a supplement. Yeah. That was
No, it was actually a like a glass food storage container.
oh wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
so
volume for that.
yeah, which was a really expensive product to hold and store in Amazon's warehouse for like I had like 10,000 extra units. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Then you're just
um,
like, oh, now I got 6 months supply.
yeah, I could go through. I mean, a million different times or something like that happened. I'm like, I should just hang the hat up. So how come through all of that you kept going and didn't quit?
Because once you have it up and running, I mean, yeah, you do run into those problems. But any business that you're going to have,
Yeah.
like, I think I was listening to Alex Hermosi one time talk about that on like his podcast. He's like, they all got shit, man. Every business, man. I don't know if you ever heard that. He's talking
Yeah.
about like his CEO or something was
Uh-huh.
said that
Yeah.
like, hey, every business is going to have a little something. There is no perfect business, no matter what. You're going to jump a hurdle here and there. But I don't know too many businesses, for people that are out there getting started and they're thinking about it or they run into a problem that you can get that kind of leverage. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I've done Shopify, I've done all this other stuff, and now you obviously hear TikTok shops, and somebody was really like pushed me, and I said, yeah, there's definitely a place for that. But I go
Yeah.
until I see the TikTok shop truck pulling up at every one of my neighbor's house,
Yeah.
I'm not really that worried about it. Like that's what people got to remember about Amazon. Like think about that. You look out and you see Amazon trucks pulling up to everybody in your neighborhood's house,
Hmm.
basically. And until that changes,
Yeah.
that there's a huge opportunity there, and to get that kind of leverage because I never even had any employees. Like I have one guy
Hmm.
help me out a little bit. I had outsourcers a little bit, but what other business can you do that with? Like, and especially like me and being a traditional business before ever getting into this, the internet world or whatever you want to call it. You didn't have that kind of leverage. The only way you're getting that leverage is like hiring a bunch of employees or expanding, retail outlets or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't get that.
So when you sold, it was you, your wife, and one like part-time VA
It's
or
just
how
a
many?
buddy of mine actually that he was like he's older than me. He's like retired down in Florida, and he would just do stuff. He's pretty smart about things, but he would just do like run the Shopify store a little bit, take care of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And uh, he would do like searching for what do you call it? Search the SMDs like on everybody trying to knock you off on eBay and
Mm,
relist your stuff, send that kind of stuff out, just little stuff like that. So just
yeah.
part time deal, and
Oh,
then
sending like cease and desist letters to them and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, just
Yeah.
little, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then I would, everything else was getting outsourced, just like,
Hmm.
everybody else does. You're You're buying your product from one place, you're outsourcing all the packaging, Amazon's handling everything else. Even, you hear a lot of people talking about like that. I've seen courses where they're like really pushing, like, oh, you need, people like they're not even that big and they're like looking for VAs and outsourcers. And I'm like, you can do several million and not really have that much. Like, you don't even really have that much like customer service stuff coming at you.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like nothing that somebody can't handle on their own. And
Yeah.
I don't even think, I bet you by the time, like when I started it and I was doing it in my garage, it was taking all my time. By the time I sold that thing, I bet you I could have ran that thing at 10 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't be, you order, everything ran its course, you pay some invoices. Even at that time, I had my PPC outsourced
Hmm.
too. A guy ran all my PPC campaigns, but so that's yeah, and that that was crucial in our growth too, obviously.
Yeah, with how much Amazon handles like customer service now, there's some brands I see that sell like 1.5 million a month, and they
Yeah,
get 5 to 10 customer service messages all month because Amazon handles everything else. So like,
yeah,
anybody can answer 10 messages a month. Customer.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never got that many. You
Mhm.
might go in and look at a couple things, or if there's like a weird review, or like contest that, or
Yeah.
just the little normal things, but nothing, or your feedback, stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
my dog's hiding. It's storming out here, so my lab's hiding under my desk.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are East Coast is getting slammed with some storms right now. Are you guys getting it in Ohio?
No, I'm in Ohio now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so yeah, we're getting that's just raining, just like thundering a little bit, and
Yeah.
then but yeah, Florida's getting ready to get nailed. I'm glad I just got
Yeah,
out of it weeks ago, so they're getting it. Although we wouldn't have been getting it, it's more up towards the Panhandle is going to get hit like Thursday.
yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
Cool.
so
Well, you mentioned like TikTok Shop's big now, and I've done literally all of it. Some of my brands are on TikTok Shop too, but I've done drop shipping, print on
mhm.
demand, Shopify, like all of that stuff, and like all of that stuff obviously works, right? Like there's
Yep.
people that do really well on those individually, but I think the key point for me when I focused. I'm biased, right? You're a little biased. I still think Amazon is the best
Oh
opportunity.
yeah,
But whenever I focused like solely on Amazon and I stopped trying to do all those other things at the same time, I started making more money and like life got
yeah,
better too, right? So like
yeah.
I think whether it's Amazon and I'm biased, so I would suggest anybody listening to this chooses Amazon, but like pick one and like master it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So um
Yeah, with like shops and stuff, not every product is made for like a TikTok,
yeah, exactly.
audience or TikTok shop. There is its place, but and then I always feel like that's stuff that's just gonna like you're gonna either get knocked off, it's gonna die out, it's gonna be like, it's
Mhm.
not gonna be very evergreen. Whereas like if you're building a brand, obviously you want to be a little bit omnipresent at some point and be in more
Yeah.
spots. Like we were just so mine was still 90% Amazon, but we had a Shopify store. We run specials and stuff on that. But I,
Mhm.
I didn't push the marketing a lot on that. It was just there because we had such a customer base. And then I had the only other retail we dealt with was Chewy. So Chewy had
Yeah.
approached us, and I did sell like to them as a
Mhm.
wholesale outlet. But that was mostly it.
Yeah. I mean, from what I see, the right time for a brand that's like Amazon only to go into DTC and Shopify or branch out and put bandwidth and time and money and budget into another platform is around like 3 to 5 million on
Yeah,
Amazon,
yeah,
right? Then like you have some budget, some cash flow to invest, maybe hire somebody to like invest in another platform.
yeah. That and the yeah, that, or if you have like absolutely want to sell some product that's just going to take you a really long time to rank on Amazon, like it's ultra competitive, and
Yeah.
you for whatever reason you're hung up on selling that product, you
Mhm.
might do like B2C. Like I did work with a skincare company that I own part of that we did that, and it's just be still that's a whole nother skill set that will take somebody
Yep.
new a lot more to learn and a lot more. You're going to pay the dummy tax in like Facebook ads,
Yeah,
you
for
know what I
sure.
mean? So you're gonna. I just think somebody like new starting out, Amazon's gonna be. from a physical product standpoint, it's still your best bet because
Uh,
you're gonna be able to start getting sales. There's nobody has a customer base built in like that at all.
mhm.
It just doesn't exist, man.
Yeah, people just trust Amazon, right? But,
And
uh,
I think too, and you're already seeing it like with the inking a deal a little bit with TikTok. We'll see how that goes. But
yeah.
I think what's going to happen over the next like 3 to 5 years, a lot of these, like, you'll see it. They'll probably do something with Instagram, I would imagine, or however
Mhm.
else, Facebook, to where people will be able to like one click buy. I mean, they already have it a little bit integrated with Shopify. I haven't tried that yet, but uh, where, so people, you'll be able to integrate all your stuff across these
Yeah.
platforms and it'll be seamless. So, but you're,
So yeah, I just left Amazon Accelerate last week, which is like Amazon's yearly conference
yeah,
for third party sellers. And they announced partnerships with TikTok, with PayPal, and with YouTube Shorts.
yeah.
So like they are like absolutely dominating and still growing.
Yeah. Yeah. And just think about the growth factor there. It just makes it
Mhm.
better to be on Amazon.
Yeah.
Because, what if you can just start running shorts and people can one click buy your
Uh-huh.
product? So there'll be a point where, yeah, it's cool if you're ranked on Amazon, but wouldn't it be great to be able to put your product in Amazon and you're still be able to capture these audiences with organic traffic other
Yeah.
places? So for content creators and stuff like that, that are really big, maybe like a little niche or something, uh, that I just think there's going to be more and more opportunity in
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
I think they're just going to get more aggressive with it.
It's almost like if I mean me personally, if I'm like shopping and I see somebody's ad on Instagram, I'll go straight to Amazon, and I know the majority of consumers do too. And if you don't
Yeah,
find that brand on Amazon, you're not going back to their website and buying it. Like discredits that this brand isn't on Amazon
yeah.
in 2024 now. So
I've seen like there's a lot of guys that held off for a long time, and I think they wish they wouldn't have. Like
uh-huh.
like even like Ezra did with Boom with
Yep.
and stuff. He held
Cindy
off
Joseph. Yeah.
forever, and he wouldn't do it. But then they finally realized that you're just giving away sales
Yeah.
because people are going to go search for Boom on Amazon. If they can't find it, they'll buy something else. So
Uh-huh.
you're giving away money to you're essentially doing marketing for somebody else.
Yep.
Some other
Exactly.
brand. Yeah. So
Uh,
I think more brands are getting smart like that.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the dummy tax with Facebook ads, which man, I have spent like 4, 5, 6K on Facebook ads and made $0 or like a
Yeah.
hundred dollars back, right? But like
Yep.
on Amazon paid ads, that doesn't happen because people are
No.
going to Amazon to buy.
Yep. Yeah, and the credit card, I mean, everything's built in. It's
Uh-huh.
not like, hey, where's my card? I got to get out. And, even though it's a little more seamless, like with Shopify now, but it's still not the same as Amazon where people are just like, boom, they know they're getting it next day or 2 days. The comfort factor, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. Think
And
about
if
it.
they
You're
don't
never
like
going to
it,
see those conversions like an Amazon conversion. Let's just even say 20%, which
uh-huh.
is like probably a lower Amazon conversion, maybe not on every product, but which if you could get 20% on a Shopify store, you'd be like,
You're
you're king.
yeah, for sure.
You're just
You're
like,
a god on Shopify if you can get
yeah. Like,
honestly
I don't even think, like, if you
20%.
gave it for free, you wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
Shopify, there's just no way.
That's funny. Well, we're coming up on time here, so I got a couple other questions I want to ask you. First, you sold through Empire Flippers,
Yeah,
right? To Thrasio. So Empire Flippers is like a broker,
yeah.
right? Is there anything different that you would have done now that, in hindsight, going through that process?
Uh, I would have probably, yeah. I mean, I would have kept my brand a little bit longer. I would
Uh,
have also, at the time, I didn't have anything else going. I would have made sure, unless it's total FU money, I would like make sure you got cash flow in place before you sell. That's maybe not right for everybody. Personally, that's what I would do.
yeah.
Uh, they were pretty easy to deal with, Empire Flippers. You can shop it. Some people want to shop it around yourself, but you really got to have your numbers dialed in
Hmm.
to do that. If you have like a really good accountant that knows how to evaluate like an e-commerce business
Yeah.
and really put all that together, or if you got experience. But sometimes the brokers are really going to guide you through that, even though it costs you a chunk. Sometimes they may make you that little bit extra. too.
Hmm.
I'm sure they're not all of them are like that, but I only talked to two. Like, I talked to the Empire and I forget the other one
Hmm.
now at this point. But yeah, there's only two I talked to. So, but they were good. I mean,
Yeah. So you're saying like the commission that they take,
yeah.
they probably got you
Hmm.
a larger deal to make up for that commission, right?
Yeah, I think so. They have like a really good network of buyers. That's the other
Uh-huh.
thing. Because that's the thing. Well, I didn't have people lowballing me. Like I actually ended up getting with everything. I made more than my asking price
Yeah.
for the business at the end of the day. So
Nice. Well, what's next for Adam? Are you just kicking back on the beach or what?
nah, no, 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 no. No, I just got done with a divorce, so that's not the case.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
That's expensive, man.
Yeah.
No, no, I'm launching stuff. I've done some reseller stuff too in the past too.
Uh-huh.
So I was working with a guy out of Florida too. We did uh, a bunch of stuff like that. That's a whole different ball game. I mean, uh, that's its own set of you know hurdles, I guess. I don't know if do you guys do any of that at all.
Yeah, some wholesale
Yeah,
with like our clients at Bad Marketing. We'll
yeah.
do some of that, but not much resell unless you're talking about like wholesaling other people's.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
yeah, wholesaling basically. Yeah, so but
Uh-huh.
that changes. We've done some big brands, and they're infamous for changing. Like 1 minute you're all good with them, then 2 weeks later they're like, nah, we're changing the way we do Amazon,
Yeah.
and somebody's nephew or whatever gets the contract, and all of a sudden it's got an exclusive. So those change all the time, and uh, you know what I mean. It's a different set of hurdles.
Yeah.
But it can be lucrative. You don't have to, your margins are a lot tighter, but you don't have to rank. You're not worried about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I've done both. I mean, it's good add-on, especially if you got just money sitting around. Yeah, you just want to turn your money. It's a good angle.
Yeah, wholesale is a great business model. Obviously, it's like a cash play, right? Like private label, you're building a brand that you can sell
Yeah.
for millions of dollars, but wholesale is cash, and it's really a win-win for both the brand and you,
I
right?
always just look at it as like an investment that compounds. Like I'm constantly looking at like, okay, what I spend on merchandise and
Mhm.
what's my ROI on. I don't really look at it. I just look at what's my ROI on my money laid out and how fast am I getting it back.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times, even if you're turning 10 or 20% on your money on your cash, like where else are you going to do that
yeah.
in a month? Yeah, yeah.
For virtually no risk, you're not putting in stocks or crypto or anything like that, and
Oh
getting
man, so it's and I think people overlook that when they're looking at the wholesale market. But yeah,
yeah.
it's a whole nother
Well,
play.
last question I like to ask everybody: if there was one piece of advice you would give somebody new starting out in Amazon or e-commerce or business in general, what's that one piece of advice?
Just yeah, you just can't stop. Like and we'll stick with like just Amazon. Like you'll have products that don't work. I've had products even after I was going that I launched that didn't
Uh-huh.
work for whatever reason. It's probably me, whatever I don't know. So you'll have stuff, and even like the ones that I feel like don't work. It's not like you don't get your money back out of it or your
Yeah,
investment. Usually, it's just they just don't seem to like take off like they should. So and that could be a million different reasons, but yeah, people just got to stay with it. I mean, it's sometimes it gets frustrating when you're just starting out, and it doesn't matter what you started in. Like, and you said it earlier, it could be you just started out with drop shipping, you just started out with Amazon, you just started
hmm,
out with whatever. You're always gonna have those days where you just feel like, man, why am I doing this? You're putting in the
yeah,
extra time. If you're working a job, you're spending your nights and your weekends doing this. It's not paying off. But you got to realize that if you just keep at it, it definitely will kick in at some point. You're going to
yeah,
run across your angry orange. You're going to run across your glass plate, your warming dish or whatever that is that does you
yeah.
know $100,000 in a day. That's the thing. You can't. Yeah, it's just like you can't win if you're not in there.
I
But
always tell people you can't lose if you don't quit, right?
yeah, yeah,
Just keep
exactly,
going.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Cool.
100%.
Well, I appreciate your time, Adam. I appreciate you coming on and telling your seller story. It's very inspiring to hear somebody that started a brand, launched it, scaled it, then sold it ultimately.
Thank you. It's good being here.